New York City, the capital of culture. New York's incredible multi-ethnic population encompasses a vibrant mix of traditions brought in by millions of immigrants. And at the heart of immigrant culture, we find food. Food is a language that transcends the boundaries of words. Food becomes a way to communicate. But in a rapid-moving city that continues to develop by day, food for immigrants is not simply a meal we eat. It is a national marker of our existence. How can we preserve culture through food? What is the immigrant experience in the United States? How does the immigrant experience influence the experience of food and food culture?
From 1975 to 1980, it was really a dangerous place. This neighborhood got really, really bad, dangerous. There were a lot of drugs, there were muggings, car break-ins, and consequently our business dropped. So I tried to build the business up by kind of following more of a traditional American coffee shop diner model. I thought if I shifted the menu to more American food, like tuna fish and hamburgers, and it didn't really work. Luckily, around 1980, the neighborhood started getting better. We got some positive write-ups in some publications, but the write-ups were for our Ukrainian food. So I kind of discovered that what the people in this neighborhood and the people in New York at large really want is our good, honest Eastern European, Ukrainian, Polish food.
Our food is all handmade. It's made every day. So I think that's a big draw, not just for the Ukrainian people, but I think it's a draw for anybody who wants, home cooking, fresh food. It's really hard to think about not being Ukrainian, I use my children as an example. Both my daughters, they say, I'm Ukrainian, and they're not. People right away ask if you're born here. But you don't get that same response. Like if my friend says she's Italian, no one asks her if she was born here. So I think, there's some identifying markers with, language and food and ethnicity and those threads, one being very visible food, That's definitely an identifying marker.
I feel very American. I feel like my parents, as immigrants, wanted to preserve a sense of Japaneseness in me and kind of shared their love of food, their love of Japanese culture. And so I definitely identify as both in certain ways. I take a lot of issue with the word fusion. I feel like a lot of times people may call our food fusion, and the food is very much a reflection of my own Japanese American identity. If someone called me like a fusion person, like that, that doesn't make much sense. I feel like to be Asian American or Japanese American is, who I am. But I think that's what the American experience is all about. I think what's great about this country is its diversity and how there's so many different types of cultures coming together. Besso is a restaurant in NoHo that serves Japanese cuisine, but I call it Japanese American comfort food, like homemade dishes, but done with the city of New York in mind, and kind of, giving nod to the flavors of the city. A lot of restaurants in New York that are Japanese restaurants serve, ramen or sushi, and I just wasn't seeing the type of food that I associated as Japanese.
To me, Japanese cuisine does not mean sushi, and a lot of people, like, they think that the first thing you tell someone is just like, "Oh, what are you making?" "Oh, I'm making something Japanese." They're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, sushi." And it's like, no, it's not just sushi. There's other things. They make other stuff, just like a whole bunch of other Americans or other cultures make other things.
We have a tempura udon dish that's been on the menu since the beginning, and it's one of our signature dishes called inaniwa, that's like thinner and silkier and really wonderful served cold.
I realized that I was blessed, for good or bad, with an eye for the greater good. Like when I see one culture, I've always been curious about different cultures, and when I see them, I try to find, or I make connections with other ones. Many years ago, what brought me to New York City was a job at the New York State Council on the Arts, in the Folk Arts Division, and I looked at a lot of Chinese groups on the Lower East Side in Chinatown, and also this Eldred Street Synagogue. It was then called the Eldred Street Project. I just was struck by, after going to their festivals, seeing that there was a lot of similarity in the skills and the folk arts. I mean, maybe the Jews put a very high value on a scribe, like being able to write the Torah, and it's a beautiful art form. And Chinese calligraphy is absolutely, beautiful and out of this world. And I kept thinking, well, there's got to be a way to connect these things. And when the Eldred Street Project came to me, and they wanted to have this Jewish Heritage Project. And I always tell them that the mistake that they made on their application is that they would work with the neighborhood. And when they presented their festival, I was like, well, okay, I get the Jewish part, but where's the rest of the neighborhood? Where's the Chinese part? Since since the Great Immigration here in the 1850s, 1860s till now, people are more fluid, with where they live, where they came from, and they're living side by side with people from cultures they never thought that they were. And I think it's a really nice sign of culture thriving if they're sharing their foods and borrowing it. And, so on my Thanksgiving, I love having yucca with the red onions. I'm an Eastern European Jew. What am I doing with that on my plate? Well, I live in a Dominican neighborhood and I develop a taste for this, so why not? Why not have it on my table, So I think that there is a place for both the mixing up of the cultures and then preserving it as well. It just depends on what you need or what you want at the time, what the occasion is.
I think that food is a language, and I think that it's the way that people learn. It's like one of the first ways that people can learn about another person's culture is through food. In the act of eating food from someone else's culture is kind of like the act of opening yourself to another idea, like another flavor, another idea or expression. And so I'm thankful that people are giving Japanese American comfort food a chance, and that people are coming in and being open to a different expression of Japanese cuisine with us.
When I think of New York, I really think of just all of those individual small businesses and like especially like restaurants and everything that just make up New York. Like I can think of maybe 4 or 5 places like in Brooklyn or close to like, you know, in Lower East Side where it's just they have their own individual like they have their identity, they have their own individual like just soul about it. And you can learn a lot about, you know, those cultures by stepping into those places. It's like going into the country almost, just by like tasting their food and having their food. It's really like you get a sense of like the identity of the background.
Then, in the middle of our documenting journey, we found ourselves in a global pandemic. New York City's once bustling streets were quickly emptied out, and businesses all across America began to shut down one by one. Only the bare essentials remained, and human connection went digital. As we maneuvered the new world we were living in, we began to ask new questions. How are restaurants adapting to the situation? What does COVID-19 mean for the immigrants who work at privately owned businesses? What exactly are we losing without these small epicenters of culture?
I'm Sonyang La. I'm from Korea. I came here to study. I went to FIT and I used to be a graphic designer. And after I had a first baby, I quit my job. And then like about 10 years, I'm helping my husband. My husband has a bagel store right now. The beginning of COVID, like March and April, was really bad because not many people were working. But we are opening the store at that time. I kind of get scared because there are many people got COVID-19, and also it could be me. So I was kind of afraid of working there. But right now it's okay. We gotta get used to it living like this. But the deli, they just order and pick up the food, and they're having breakfast in the car or at their house. That's why for our business, it's getting back to normal. It's different from a restaurant.
Coronavirus has stopped our business. So we have been closed for the past 2 weeks. Both of our locations have been closed, and for the safety of our employees too, we have really not been doing any takeout or delivery up until now. But we are also discussing opening that channel again to help out healthcare workers and other people that might be in need of meals right now.
I really believe that half the small restaurant businesses are not going to survive this. It's already such a tough business to be an independent restaurant owner or cafe or coffee shop or takeout. I think it's going to be very difficult for people to recover from this. Look at what restaurants are doing now. A lot of restaurants are, they're trying to keep open. They're trying to keep their employees. They're selling groceries. They're selling spice mixes. They're selling sauces, which is great. But how much sauce can you really sell in comparison to New York City rents, commercial rents? Small businesses really are really instrumental in this country. They employ people, they employ local people, they employ neighborhood people. It gives people an advantage to be part of their community and part of the workforce. How are people going to feel safe to go back to eat at restaurants or purchase at restaurants if there's that underlying feel that someone might be sick, or there's a lot of people around? You know, someone next to you sitting in the restaurant, you know, you hear someone cough, you know, it might make you nervous.
I think that as Asian Americans, we're facing a lot of racism, you know, more publicly and outwardly.
I was walking down the street with my husband, and some guy screamed, asked both of us, so should we take the Chinese to court or just kill them? And I think it was really shocking. I mean, definitely in the last 5 years, or in the last 4 years since you know, Trump became president, I've personally had increased amount of incidents that have happened to me. I don't think I fully processed and understand truly what has happened to me. It's really confusing. I'm frustrated, annoyed that I didn't have enough time to react, to retaliate, or say something or defend myself. And I'm left with these feelings of wanting justice, but it's too late.
Just support, I guess, everyone, not just individuals, but those small businesses for when the time comes for when we do open back up, because I do believe that this is a period of, you know, of just craziness in a way. But when that period is over and when it's time to get back up and stuff like that, I would say be there for those places that, you know, have people that were and are still willing to take care of you even at times like this.